Hello everyone. For those who don't know me, I am Holly Trantham, TFD's creative director. And this is the totally chill guide to work and life. So for the past 8 years, I've been working behind the scenes on all of the content you see here on YouTube and elsewhere on TFD's channels. And I also wrote our second book, Beyond Getting By, which is coming out this April. Throughout this series, I'm going to dive into some of the topics I go into even more in depth in the book, all about how to approach your work and your money from a totally chill place, where they help you live the life you want without ever becoming your sole focus. Building wealth means giving yourself breathing room, because when you know you're on the right path, you can eventually spend less time worrying about money and more time with your loved ones, traveling the world, or doing whatever it is that makes you happy long term. Betterment is the investing and savings app that puts your money to work and your mind at ease. With their expert-built ETF portfolios, you're automatically diversified across thousands of stocks and bonds at once. Your money can multitask in the background while you do literally anything else. Plus, their automated investing tech and tax-smart tools are designed to help maximize your returns, so you can feel secure knowing your money is putting in the work. Get started, be invested. Go to betterment.com/TFD or click the link in this video's description to sign up in minutes. Your future self will thank you. So we live in a culture that glorifies a big flashy headline over an actually useful story. When it comes to personal finance, we usually hear about people who manage to pay off 6 figures of debt by the time they're 25 or retire by the time they're 40, even though, spoiler alert, the reason is almost always one of 2 options. They got a really high paying job with a cash bonus or stock options, or they come from generational wealth, often both. And we hear way less about normies who manage to achieve an aspirational level of chill when it comes to work-life balance, while still managing to retire at 59 and a half, when you can start pulling from your 401k without penalties, which is still a few years younger than the steadily increasing average retirement age in the US, even though these are the kinds of stories that might have actually useful information for the average person. Building real, sustainable, long-term wealth means learning to sift through all of the BS financial advice out there and establish a wealth-building plan that actually serves you. And that means learning to tune out the noise of people getting rich from windfalls of cash through exercising stock options from a startup, or making a ton of money off of crypto, or secretly coming from money in the first place. I became a millionaire at 22 and financially free at 20.
I became a millionaire by age 26.
If you want to get rich in your 20s, then you need to learn from rich people.
You need to first get around richer friends and richer people.
And he looked at me and he said, net worth doesn't matter.
I would take $2,000 and I would open up an e-commerce brand.
Try to find something you do very, very well, and then practice the hell out of it.
You go to work, you spend $15 on a sandwich. What are you, an idiot?
You will win with money 100% of the time.
Take the crypto bro, for instance. He may have taken over our TikTok feeds and our bad first date conversations over the past few years, but he is nothing new. There will always be ill-advised investment trends out there, and there will always be the lure of trying to get in on the ground floor of something so that you can make it big. For the book, I interviewed Richard Coffin, aka The Plain Bagel, here on YouTube, and here is what he had to say for anyone who feels FOMO when it comes to investment opportunities like crypto. What we have seen throughout history is that a lot of revolutionary technology is not a good investment at the aggregate level. The truth is, there's no room for 2,000 different cryptocurrencies over the next decade. There just isn't. And a lot of those are going to go to zero as a result of that. For someone who is feeling FOMO on these big returns, on the one hand, it's reassuring to tell them that this isn't the first, and it won't be the last, big rise and fall of something. We saw it with computers, we saw it with the internet. There's always going to be big revolutionary technology that will make some people a lot of money, but then entice more people to follow it, which tends to lose them money. When it comes to investing in your own retirement, the issue is not that you haven't found the right stock or the right crypto to put your money into. It's simply learning to stick with a tried and true strategy, while also making sure you're setting aside enough money. Because many of us are not on track to retire the way we really want to. According to a 2022 Gallup poll, while most non-retired adults had some type of retirement savings, only 31% of non-retirees thought their retirement saving was on track, down from 40% in 2021. And years 2017 through 2020 also reported higher percentages than 2022's results. Additionally, about 28% of non-retirees did not report having any retirement savings, up from 25% in 2021. Black and Hispanic non-retirees were less likely to report having any retirement savings or being on track for retirement than white respondents. And those with disabilities were less likely to be on track than those without disabilities. And the bleak reality for women in particular, and especially women from racial minorities, is that we are more likely to face poverty in old age. The poverty rate for all women aged 65 and older is 10.6%, and the poverty rate for single women living alone is almost twice as high at 19%. The highest poverty rates are experienced among older Hispanic women, 41%, who live alone. Retirement is not about living out your dream of traveling the world on your fully staffed yacht. It is quite literally about being able to live, and hopefully live somewhat comfortably when you are less likely to be able to work, even if you wanted to work. Because even if you did want to keep working well past retirement age, there's no guarantee that any of us will be able to work for any amount of time due to health reasons, family caretaking responsibilities, or one of life's many other unpredictabilities. So first, let's talk about what not to do with your long-term wealth building strategy. Don't try to time the market. We've talked about this in many videos here on TFD. I also dive into it in the book. But the key point here is to make sure that you don't miss out on the top performing days in the market by pulling out your money when you are scared when you see a market dip. And we will link to a video in the description that goes into this more. Don't try to hop on the bandwagon of the next big thing like crypto, at least not for the majority of your investing strategy, especially when historical data shows that it almost never works out for the vast majority of people. Don't put off investing until you feel like you have enough to get started. Especially for those just starting out, there are likely going to be things that you're going to want to do with your money before you start seriously investing, such as building up somewhat of an emergency fund or paying off high interest debt. But a big part of financial independence is tricking yourself into thinking you have less money to spend than your paycheck says you do. So the sooner you start increasing the amount you set aside from each paycheck, hopefully automatically direct deposited into your retirement account, the more you'll get used to having less of your paycheck to spend, and the easier it will be to continue increasing those contributions, hopefully as your income increases. So now those were the don'ts, and let's talk about what to do instead. First, you'll want to determine how much you'll actually want to have in order to retire when you ideally would want to. We have an exercise on this in the book, courtesy of our resident investment expert, Amanda Holden, which you can see a preview of here. But there are also plenty of online retirement calculators that can help you as well. The basic calculation is to take the amount you want to earn each year in retirement in today's dollars and multiply that by 25 to follow the 4% rule, or multiply by a factor of 28 to 33 or higher if you want to be more conservative. And then you will use that number and a compound interest calculator to determine what percentage of your income you need to be setting aside towards retirement. Next, put as much of your income as you can into a tax-advantaged retirement account. Some common examples of these types of accounts are a 401k or 403b through an employer, a solo 401k for certain self-employed people, or a traditional or Roth individual retirement account or IRA. And we'll link to an explainer of each of these and other retirement plans in the description. Ultimately, you want to work towards maxing out whichever type of account you have, and then going from there to open different types of accounts. For instance, a lot of people max out their 401k and then also open an IRA on top of it, which is like, if you do that, congratulations. Next, as your income increases, increase the amount you invest along with it. I started to get into this a little bit earlier, but this means not letting your discretionary expenses increase as your income increases, which is something those of us in the personal finance community like to call lifestyle inflation. Instead, focus on increasing your investments and savings first before you start looking at increasing other expenses like what you spend dining out, or getting a nicer apartment with higher rent, or spending more on vacation. And while you definitely need to meet the employer match on your 401k, you should probably be contributing well beyond that percentage. The most common 401k employer match is 50 cents of every dollar you contribute, up to 6% of your income. But if you use the earlier formula from Amanda, you might see that you need to contribute well beyond that in order to get where you want to be. Next, learn about asset allocation and risk tolerance. Your asset allocation is how you diversify your investments across different types of vehicles like stocks and bonds, and you will likely want to change your asset allocation as you get older. And your risk tolerance is your ability to handle risk, aka lose some or all of your initial investment for the possibility of greater returns down the line. And again, you likely will have a lower risk tolerance when you're older and a higher risk tolerance when you're younger. That's speaking generally. Also, if the majority or even all of your retirement investments are in an employer-sponsored account like a 401k, there may be default investments that your contributions are automatically put towards. Even if you decide that you are okay with these default investments, you'll want to learn what they are. A lot of 401ks especially use target date funds, and we'll link to a resource in the description where you can learn more about these. There are robo-advisors that can help you determine your risk tolerance and asset allocation for you. And most of these do offer individual retirement accounts like IRAs as well as brokerage accounts. And if you are investing in an individual retirement account or IRA, aka something that you open on your own without an employer, you need to make sure that money is invested, period. And again, robo-advisors can do this for you, or you can learn the DIY strategy through experts like Amanda. Lastly, and most importantly maybe, automate your contributions. There is a lot of upfront information thrown at us when we are learning about investing for the first time. But the good news is that once you have a strategy, you can just set it and forget it. Aside from occasional check-ins and continuously increasing your contribution amounts every year. This is just absolutely key because, again, if you can make your investments work for you in the background and you don't have to think about it so much, you are much less likely to see that money as available to spend and accidentally spend more on other goals that are not as important as your long-term retirement. This totally chill approach to your investment strategy does not mean planning your finances based on vibes. It means doing the math, getting a system in place, and letting your strategy play out. Thanks so much for watching, and remember to hit the link in our description to pre-order Beyond Getting By, where I dive into all of these topics even more deeply, and tune in next week for the next episode of the Totally Chill Guide to Work and Life. Bye!